Hey guys, today we are bringing you a much anticipated and much asked for video, which is a dairy farm equipment tour here on our modern dairy farm. We have a robotic milking dairy barn, and we're going to bring you along to show you all of the equipment we use day to day here on the farm. This video is sponsored by Major Dairy AI Services Limited.
So the first piece of equipment we're going to show you is our John Deere skid steer. We got this skid steer back in November 2023. It's a 318G. There's probably 4 or 5 models bigger than this one yet. We chose this model size because it works perfect for our heifer barn. If it wasn't for the heifer barn alleyways being a little bit narrower than the dairy barn, I would have went with a size bigger because of a little more hydraulic power and higher reach. But anyways, it reaches high enough for our mixer, and it's a strong machine. They loaded up the back with some weight. So we added these weights after we got it. We put aftermarket tires on. Tires, I find, make a piece of equipment, whether it's a tractor or a skid steer or a pickup truck. Put better tires on. The ones they send with are cheap, they're small. As far as I'm concerned, they're no good. So we put radials on. If you spend twice the money on a good radial tire, the tires will last 4 times as long. So it's a no-brainer to me. You run them at a lower tire pressure, you get a smoother ride, and the rubber lasts longer. And we rip around on a lot of concrete. I turn around on a dime in the heifer barn, I turn around on a dime in the dairy barn, which has newer concrete, which is rougher, and we've put 2,500 hours on these tires. If you have a look at them, there's still probably 50% left, but even if I only get another 1,500 hours out of them, that'll be 4,000 hours on one set of tires. So money well spent as far as I'm concerned. So a nice feature that this 318G has, it has some sort of suspension in the loader. There's probably a fancy name for it, but anyways, when you're driving, you can press a button, and when you have a good load in there, rather than going over bumps and really bouncing with the bumps, the loader floats with the bumps. It's hard to explain, but I can go flying across the yard, say with a load of sand or a bale on, and if I press that button, honestly, the faster I go, the smoother it goes. This is my favorite machine on the farm. It's truly an awesome skid steer. I live in this thing. It's 3 hours a day, 1,000 hours a year. So a lot of my time in a day is in this machine. So this is our big horsepower tractor on the farm, a 7210R John Deere. I think it's a 2014. We got it about 6 years ago. So it's about 210 horsepower, which is plenty for everything that we need to do, like with cultivating and plowing and ripping up the soil in the fall and stuff like that. It has a 50 kilometer an hour transmission, which is the fastest transmission John Deere has. It is an IVT transmission. To keep that simple, it drives like a car. So when you press the gas, it goes. Like, gone are the days of shifting gears in a tractor when you have a transmission like that. We don't necessarily need a transmission that fancy in ours, but I bought this tractor to rent it out to help pay for it to my brother who runs a manure spreading company, and that is the type of transmission he wants for the manpower that he puts on his tractors. But anyways, really nice tractor for us. We're probably going to get new front tires on it this year. We plan to keep this tractor around. This tire isn't too bad. I would probably run it a little more if the other side had tread like this or better. It's probably down to 25%, but the other side is basically bald. So in the next couple weeks, we're probably going to put new tires on it, and then we'll get good traction this fall for tillage. I think I'll also get some more weights on the front of it. I think we need more weight to get the power to the front tires to the soil. So I'm thinking of getting another eight weights on this side and 8 weights on this side, and then that'll take it out to here. That'll add another 1,600 pounds, because I think they're 100 pounds a piece. It has a fairly nice interior. I'm not sure if it gets much nicer than how it is. It has a heated leather seat. It's nice. It's got a buddy seat. This is your IVT transmission. So you would press your clutch, put it into gear. You could put it up to F1, which goes to 20 kilometers an hour. And you could scroll this anywhere from like 0.05 kilometers up to 20. And then once you go past 20, you can go up to F2 and go up to 50 kilometers an hour. It has a touch screen for basically everything, for heating and air conditioning, the radio, and then functions of the tractor. CD player, radio, Love the 50K transmission. It's lots of power for us, so I have no intentions on getting rid of it. We put about 400 hours a year on it. If we ever trade in, might be in a few years. The only reason we would trade in is just to try to stay new, stay current, and it would probably be another 210R or a 230R from John Deere or something. Really like the 7000 series. It's a perfect size tractor for all the jobs that I do for it. We do a lot of disc binding with it, and it's I have a very hilly farm, so it handles the disc bind really nicely at the end of the rows. You don't get thrown around because we have a lot of weight. We do cultivating with it, put it on the manure pump sometimes, or put it on manure spreader, stuff like that. It handles everything well. So here's our J-Lore TMR Mixer. TMR Mixer is pretty essential on a dairy farm. It's pretty tough to feed without it. We're really happy with it. It works really good. We've had it since we started here over 2 years ago. You just maintain it, grease it, tighten this chain, this apron chain that feeds the feed out. This will drop down, it'll throw the feed out. I gotta tighten that up every once in a while. And yeah, it's been a really good machine. Every day we do a milk cow mix, we do a dry cow mix, and we do a heifer mix. In the winter, we'll feed the heifers every other day and the dry cows every other day. The milk cows get fed every day. So this thing gets used every day. You can't live without it. So this is a Massey we bought in June, traded in our loaner tractor for it. We were having some issues with the other tractor that had 8 or 9,000 hours on it. We bought this one brand new. Been really happy with it so far. I am a John Deere guy. You saw our 7210, you saw our skid steer. I really love those machines. But we were open to trying something else. This is an S135 or a 135S. 5S135 is what it says. So it's 135 horsepower. We can do a little more with this one than our 75 horsepower tractor we had before. This thing handles heavy bales, heavy wrap bales a lot better. It can go on our manure pump, it can go on a bagger. If we had to, we could put it on the disc bind if the other tractor wasn't available or something. Got a loader on it because we do a bunch of loader work when we pull it off the mixer. But the main thing it does is mix feed. But we don't see the need to have a separate tractor sitting around that has a loader on it and a mixer tractor. So we kind of combine those two. Me and Lauren are on the idea of less equipment is less to maintain, more hours on one piece of equipment. You'll kind of get the gist of that as we go through this video. If we can't make it pay in 10 years, then it's something we don't really get, and we hire somebody in to do the work for us. But this has been a really good tractor for us. We put about 600 or 700 hours a year on this machine, using it for mixing and loader work. We have 150 hours so far. It's been 3 months. So if you do the math, that'll put us at about 600 hours after 12 months. So once you head over that 500 hour mark for something that has an engine on it, yearly, it really starts to make sense to own it yourself, maintain it yourself, and keep trading it in and updating that machine. So for you John Deere fans, you probably like a tractor like this, a 2555. It's a tractor that my uncle is working on. He rents the shop on our property, and he's gonna work on fixing this thing up. These are the tractors I grew up on. So my brothers and parents had like a 4250, 4440, 2130, 1830, 1840. These are numbers that I say, and Lauren's just like, whoa. But you don't forget these numbers. When you grew up on those tractors, you don't forget them. They were beautiful tractors to work with, but they are not the type of tractor you want to put 500 to 1,000 hours a year on the modern dairy farm right now. They won't last. You'll do too many repairs to them. They are good workhorses, and they can still work on dairies today. There's nothing wrong with it, but if you start heading to that 500 to 1,000 hours every year, you got to update, and you need the newer technology for those tractors to last. These are great tractors to do 50 to 100 hours a year, or maybe 200 hours a year. They are still nice tractors. So this is a 1996 Ford F-150 two-wheel drive. We bought it, I think 3 years ago as a bit of a farm truck. It's small, it's a lot nicer to drive around when you're going into town and stuff, or you don't need the big truck, the big diesel. I really like it. Problem is, transmission is going. The truck's almost 20 years old. 20? 30. It's almost 30 years old. Not sure if I want to put the money into transmission. I'm just procrastinating for putting it down at the end of the lane with a for sale sign, but I think I should just get the couple grand that it's maybe worth out of it and part with it and just deal with the one truck. But I used to use it, to put behind equipment when I went out to the field, or go over to my brother's and get something, and I could leave it there and bring a tractor back home. So it is handy for that. It's just, to me, it's not worth putting a couple $1,000 into the transmission. I'm not a mechanic, so I'm not going to do it myself. So I'd have to pay somebody to do it, and I'm just not interested. So I think I'll part with it.
We lost our kids somewhere along the mix of making that video, so we're off to find them, and we will head to Eddie's brother Dave's place where we have some equipment stored and share some equipment with him that we'll go over with you. Well, we found the kids in the house rocking out with Alexa, loaded them up. Now we're on our way to Dave's.
No.
Oh, just stopping right here to talk about this rake here.
So this is a rake that we use to either flip hay over if it needs to dry underneath, or straw, or rake 2 rows together. So this is a very low cost machine. My brothers have probably had it for 10 years, long before me and Lauren were here. The biggest things you might have to replace on this thing are these teeth every once in a while. I know there's a few missing, so we might have to replace some of those this winter. But essentially, the idea of it is these arms come down, and when they're both down, it's kind of like a V. So when you have them both down and you're raking 2 rows together, it brings it into 1 row, kind of spits it out the back, and lets you have 1 row. But if you want to flip hay, you could just put 1 wing down and it'll flip hay over to make dry hay, or it'll flip a row of straw over. And my brothers all share it. It's a pretty inexpensive machine to maintain. Just nice to have around.
First we had to stop for a little ice cream, right guys?
Yeah.
What kind did you get?
Moose jacks.
Moose Tracks ice cream. Supporting the dairy industry. Nice work. Are you chewing gum and drinking coffee?
Yeah. Is that not normal?
No, I don't think so. If you're new here, Dave, where we're heading to Dave's place, is Eddie's brother, and Eddie used to farm with Dave at their home farm that they grew up on. That's where we're going. We split up from Dave. Eddie and I split up from Dave about 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, to start farming on our own. But Dave and Eddie and their other brother Mark still share some equipment and what else? Ideas?
Equipment, ideas. Yeah.
So that's where we're taking you now. Oh, they still have the bouncy castle from the camping trip.
Yeah, they bought it.
Oh, they bought it.
Yeah. I was asking Dave about that the other day. I said, what's with that thing laying there still? And he said, oh, we bought it. The guy that they borrowed it from wanted to sell it.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So here is the disc Bine that Dave and I own together. This is a machine that my brother Mark and Dave and parents bought in 2008, my brother said, so about 16 years ago now. They bought this machine brand new. We moved up from a New Holland Ford, whatever it was called at the time, hay bine, 10-foot hay bine, to this hydro swing disc Bine. This is, I think, 13 or 13 and a half feet, a 946. Like I said, a 2008, it does, on average, I would say 600-700 acres a year. So do the math, 10 years, 7,000 acres. It's probably done 10,000 acres. It's starting to show its wear. So this is a machine we're probably going to look at trading in soon. That's worked really well for us. So if you put this guard up, you got all these blades here. There's 2 blades per turtle shell, is what they call those. A blade on this side and a blade on that side, and they spin really fast, cut the grass, and suck it up through, and then those V steel things are turning around really fast, and it beats the hay as it flows through and goes into a row. So this is our John Deere cultivator with, I think it's called a Smith packer. The packer looks like a John Deere because they paint it green to match the cultivator, but I believe it's a Smith. I don't think John Deere makes packers. It is a 36-foot cultivator. I don't know what model it is. There's no stickers on it for some reason. We got it about 8 years ago, I think, kind of when I just started with my brothers. They traded in an old, I think it was a white or an international or something cultivator, a 28-foot. It's probably a little bigger than what we need, but our theory for stuff like this is buy a little bigger than what you need, and then in 10 years it's still an appropriate size. So it's probably something me and my brothers will have till the end of our farming careers. It's a really good cultivator. We have no shed space to park it inside, which is too bad, because I think it fades the paint a little bit when it sits outside like this, and it's not nice for it to sit outside in the winter time. But nobody has doors big enough on their sheds between me and my brothers to store it inside, so we have to store it outside. We wash it when it's done, or somebody washes it between me and Dave when we're done with it, and spray it with oil, but eventually the rain kind of washes the oil off, and then yeah, you have the weather and the elements kind of getting at it. But it's a really good cultivator. The packer is 2 feet bigger, so that way it goes a little bit beyond where the cultivator is working. Otherwise, if your packer was the same length on turns and bends, you'd probably have spots where the harrows didn't get packed, and then you have loose soil again. And the idea of packing it is to have the whole field packed. So we often pull the packer with the cultivator. The only time we use the packer separately is if we're planting grass seed, and then when we're done grass seeding, we will pack the field again with the packer.
So there you have it. There's our dairy farm equipment tour. We don't have a lot of equipment, as you see, and some of it's shared as Eddie went over, but it's enough to keep us going here in Ontario, Canada. If you have any questions about it, leave them in the comments down below. We'd love to answer them, and we love to engage with you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting dairy, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.